Homeless. It's a loaded word, ripe with countless images and endless stereotypes. For Nichelle Greer, it's a personal battle he's fought for the better part of his adult life.
My early life was pretty good. I come from a two-parent home from West Oak Lane section of Philadelphia. We moved up here in West Oak Lane in 1964, so we were one of the first African-American families in that neighborhood. Um, I remember Christmases, birthdays, vacations, all of those good things, going to Disney World as a child. My father had a really good job at a factory. My mother worked at Sears and Roebuck, so I had a good childhood. After 1986, drugs came on the scene, uh, crack and heroin, um, and they became a factor in my life and in my demise. Uh, I would have to say, as a direct result of my drug addiction, I ended up becoming homeless.
I'm the program director here at DePaul House, which means I'm responsible for ensuring that we have a dignified environment, supervising staff, and helping residents move on, but not in a direct case management way. And I've been here since we opened, so about 3.5 years. I think Nichelle came here in 2010, a little bit before Halloween. He came from another program, and the first thing I remember about Nichelle is this one's going to be a tough nut to crack. He has lived on the streets or in shelters for most of his adult life, and he's got a shell around him that he uses to protect himself.
The humiliation that's associated with being homeless can't be described. Just being out in the streets and not having nowhere to lay your head that night and knowing it, it only made it more easier for me to run back to the drug because the drug allowed me to temporarily escape.
I first met Nichelle in October of 2010. He was assigned to me, I was assigned as his case manager when he had graduated from the mission called the Whosoever Gospel Mission. You know, he's someone who's been in and out of jail. You know, he's kind of been, you know, someone who's been on the streets for a while and off the streets. And so I feel like that at first he probably felt like he wouldn't be able to really work with me in the way that, you know, he wanted to work with someone.
So the hardest thing with him actually was he got a job after he got here. He was working with I think men and women who had mental health issues in a house, in a residential program, and he really loved his job. You could see his spirits lifted when he had to go to work each day. And then he lost his job. And so watching that process of him spiraling out of control and him avoiding staff and kind of withdrawing into himself after he watched him blossom, that was the most challenging part because he really lost a lot of his own spirit then.
We knew that he was using, and we were trying to, you know, help him work through it and let him know that, you know, people make mistakes, it doesn't define you. But he, I think, was so ashamed that that's when, for a while, he kind of disappeared on me for a little bit.
There was a counselor that helped me more than anybody else that I could think of, and that was Michelle. It was Michelle. Michelle was so non-judgmental, and I remember talking to her, and I remember after I lost my job here, I was trying to avoid her because I was looking for another job, but things just wasn't working out, and they didn't know that I had started drinking again. A lot of problems going on. I suffer from depression. I was on medication again, and I went into Michelle's office and told her. She had no idea I was drinking, and I told her. And she was surprised, but she didn't judge me, and she still continued to work with me and treat me better than I treated myself.
I think that kind of what brought him around again to us was that, you know, we didn't come down on him. for messing up in that way. You know, we understood that sometimes this is just part of the process. And I think he was really surprised by that we were still genuinely cared, you know, that we saw the potential that he had, and we didn't want this one thing to define him.
I kept telling him, okay, I'm drinking, but I'm going to go into a program. And I had saved up some money. I had saved up some money from staying here, and I wanted my money. And they said, okay, well, you know, you can have your money, but you have to, you know, go into treatment or something. I said, well, give me my money and I'll decide what I'm going to do. And they gave me my money and I left. And I went on a binge. And 3 or 4 days later, I was broke. And that's when I had hit the bottom. Then I went into treatment. And from the first day into treatment, I knew what I wanted. And I knew what I didn't want. I wanted a life. And I didn't want the life that I had been living.
So Nichelle stood out because he's one of the guys who always asks people how they're doing and seem to actually listen to the answer. And so he does it with staff, he does it with residents, he does it with people he encounters on the streets. He'll come home with stories about someone he met on the bus and how it really affected him to see someone down on their luck. So one of the hardest things about watching him when he was isolating after he lost his job was to see him withdraw and to not reach out to other people, because that's where he gets a lot of his energy from.
He is someone who's gone, you know, just above and beyond, just the way that he's not only, you know, been able to come through his, you know, through his addiction and work out of homelessness, but the way that he's giving back to other people and sharing so much of himself, because he does have so much to share.
Yes, right now I'm working for a great organization in Southwest Philadelphia called the Consortium. I do behavioral health. I'm a community access specialist. I went to school and got my certification as a peer specialist. I work with people like myself. And I don't think it's anything more rewarding than working in the human services field. Because I still tell my boss, I can't believe they pay me to do this. It's what I love.
I remember the day he called us and said that he was calling us from his office, that he had his own office, and he was so proud of it. And it took him, I want to say 20-some years to get to this point in his life, but what he's gone through has really informed who he is, and his struggles help him reach out to other people, and I think that's remarkable.
So yeah, we've just been in contact. Anytime anything's been going on, you know, we tell him to come by for lunch, come by for dinner, and we've just remained in each other's lives. And he comes here to talk to the other guys as well, to sort of help in any way that he can.
I don't think it's fair for people to just think that every person that's homeless has a substance abuse problem or a mental health problem. It doesn't discriminate. It can affect anybody. And I know I'm very open-minded about that now, after the experience. I've come into contact with some really good people that were homeless.
I think stories like Nichelle's and people like Nichelle can show the incredible power of recovery, that people sometimes have to go through really dark periods of their lives, and sometimes they go through it longer than we want them to, but in the end, they are stronger people for having overcome those experiences. And I look forward to working with him in the future.
I'm really happy to see him in this part of his life and to have him as a colleague and not just a client.